Is there anything in the scriptures or in the Bible or any examples from Jesus that actually ever touches this topic of snitching or telling, or does that never come?
Well, I mean, as a Christian, yeah, you should be, we're called to be honest and to be, just the opposite of what the world is, man. But as far as that, I mean, Judas.
I was going to bring up
Judas,
yeah.
told on Jesus, so Jesus was told on.
Yeah.
Jesus was snitched on. You know what I mean? That's and
was Judas's telling a result that actually led to his execution, Jesus' execution?
Yes. But here's the thing. Here's the thing about God, man. He's outside of time. He works out his plan. He came willingly. Jesus gave up his life willingly for the sins of the world.
Even though this was all part of God's plan, how do you view Judas as a person? Because one could argue that Judas was supposed to do what he did.
Judas played his part. He did play his part. Judas played his part, but that's why I meant how God is so awesome and he's outside of time. So God, he works out his plan even through evil. You know what I mean? So, for example, did God know Adam was going to sin? Did God know that? Of course he did. But he already knew. But he allowed it because he gave us free will. And so he works out his plan in spite of anything. So to answer your question, Judas did play his role. Judas was actually prophesied about, I don't know how long, probably thousands of years before it even happened, in the book of Isaiah, or maybe.
Isaiah was wrote about 1,500 years before Christ.
Okay,
something like that.
So I believe it's in Isaiah and in the book of Psalms where Judas is referred to. He's prophesied.
So how do you personally view Judas in today's context of snitching and informing? Outside of the bigger plan, of course, because Judas
would have been a snitch.
Yeah.
Judas would have been a snitch, and Jesus would have been someone that would have been snitched on. Jesus, he was busted. He was incarcerated. He was taken into custody. And here's the thing. Here's the neat thing that I see as from the lifestyle that I came from. Jesus was a straight rider. The way they look at, like, oh, that dude's a rider. He's a G. Jesus was the G'est of them all, man. He went to his death, man. He knew what was coming, and he prayed to the Father, and he asked that this cup be taken from him, but not his will be done, but the Father's. And so he knew, and he still and when they questioned, he could have spoken and defended himself, but he didn't. He chose to stay quiet. It says in the book of Isaiah too that he chose to stay quiet, and he went like as a sheep to the slaughter.
Do we know what happened to Judas after all of that?
Yeah, he felt remorse, but I don't think he repented. See, there's a difference. Remember Peter? Peter denied Jesus. But later on he felt remorse and he repented, and Jesus restored him. And then he went on to preach. He was the first guy to preach to 3,000 people. 3,000 people were saved because of Peter's words, man, when he spoke, when he preached the gospel. But Judas, there's no record that he repented, and to take it a step further, he hung himself. So that shows that he never felt God's mercy or forgiveness, man. He never felt like God's grace. He could have repented and said, Lord, but he didn't.
Do you blame Pontius Pilate as the governor at the time, or the Jews that were against Jesus?
The Jews, because they're the ones that called it, and he wanted to let him go.
He did want to let him go.
He pleaded for Jesus.
Was there pressure on Pontius Pilate to do this, right? He didn't want to do that.
Man, he had so much pressure, man. That dude had a lot of pressure. He didn't want to do it, but at the end, he didn't want, I guess, a revolt, or an uprising, because they were so adamant, just kill him. They even released Barnabas. He gave them a choice between Jesus and Barnabas, and Barnabas was a murderer. So they released Barnabas. They said, release Barnabas and kill Jesus. But what's crazy is that Barnabas, he represents us. He represents the sinner. Jesus was convicted on our behalf. He took our sin on that cross. So he was convicted in our place. And Barnabas was set free. So we are a picture of Barnabas.
Now, when Jesus was executed, they also killed 2 other people along with him. What do we know about those other 2 people?
Well, we know that there were 2 criminals. One of them was one of them knew who Jesus was, and they knew that he was innocent. And he said, he even asked Jesus. He said, Lord, remember me, in your kingdom. Remember me, And Jesus said, he said, today you will be with me in paradise. The other guy was, if you can save us, if you're really God, you can save us. And he was just, so there's 2 pictures that represents people that reject God, that are just, they reject God's mercy and grace. And then there's the other guy who knows that he messed up. He knows that he's a criminal. He actually committed these crimes, but he's seeking God's repentance, and he's asking God, forgive me. And Jesus does, and he shows him mercy. And trip out, Jesus is on the cross. He just got tortured. He's on the cross, and he's still showing love to someone.
I always find that interesting because, like, in our court system, or on our judicial system, especially our system of punishment, we rarely ever show mercy to people. Thanks for watching StreetTV.net. If you're not subscribed, please hit that button below and click the bell to receive alerts and notifications. Feel free to comment below so you can give us your feedback, and be sure to watch the 2 related episodes to the right. If you want to support this platform or follow us on social media, visit the links in the description. Thanks for watching StreetTV.net.